City Circle team.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is March 29th. We've got a little midday chart talk coming at you. It's 2:30 in New York, 11:30 out here in California. And this is maybe the most California shit to ever happen to this little web series we got, Bennett. I am eating avocado toast while recording this. I know, I'm ashamed of myself. But hey, lunchtime is lunchtime, okay? Let's get right into it. Market's been on a crazy, crazy tear today. Crazy tear these past few weeks since we bottomed. It's so funny. Everyone was in such fear of this Fed meeting, of them raising interest rates. And, we've had one down day since then. And it was really, the down day was just to trap some shorts in so we could fuel this momentum rally higher. So, we're seeing the rally continue. And charts across the board are pretty whacked. We can type up Apple. And it's just, since the Fed, they've won 11 straight green days or whatever it is. So I'm getting very cautious up here in this area. And we were talking about this a little beforehand. And what today reminded me so much of is this 2014 story that me and Bennett had back in the day. It's so funny. It was, we were back at the prop firm. And, we were holding all these stocks. Markets went on a crazy run. I think we gapped to new all-time highs or whatever it was. And it was just, it ended up being an exhaustion gap. Market was tired. I remember walking into the day. I was up $2,500 at the time, which was my best day at the time by a big amount. And I was like, I'm not selling. We're going to new all-time highs. There's no reason to sell. And then all day we just, got that exhaustive gap action. The market finally pulled in and ended the day like down 1,500 with like tears in my eyes. And the boss let us go home early. He's like, Priz, you look like you're gonna fucking cry. Why don't you guys just go snowboarding now? I was like, thank you. So that's kind of. So I walked into today thinking about that, and so I started taking profit just pretty much across the board today. It just seems like things are a little too good to be true. I think if in the broad market, if we see some consolidation or a pullback, if we get like 5 days of sideways, then I would get much more aggressive. But up here, it's really tough. I don't want to really initiate new longs too much. We got a great market run, but at the same time, you got to be realistic and not forget about the environment we've been in all year. So I'm getting very cautious at these levels. And we'll go over the trade alerts and we'll see how just seemingly everything went this week. And knowing the environment we've been dealing with since November, that puts a little, red flag in my head that, we need some consolidation. We need a pullback. We need something. Mm-hmm. So at this point, I'm not trying to be too active till we get some consolidation. What are you thinking over there?
So I think a couple things. I think it's always funny where the dynamic of like rates, like what people want changes where you think of a few years ago, it's like we want rates to be dropped. We don't want them to be raised. And now it's like the story changed where now you want them to be raised to lower inflation. So it's like a very, that like dynamic of wanting rates to be raised or lowered. I feel like it takes like years for that like overall story to kind of like shift from like what you perceive as positive versus what you perceive as negative. And now we're starting to see like we want higher rates to lower inflation. But
right, a
lot with what you said with the broad market, I definitely agree with you on a lot of the points. And these are like great times where if you think, again, it's hard to think of like 2-3 weeks ago or even though most of 2022, it was we're having our first correction. We can see a bear market. We're going to see this crazy sell-off. That was like the overall theme. And it's right. During those times, like you can't see my chart shake, but for people that are watching this, like when the market's near its lows, that's usually when everyone's thinking like, I need to sell everything. I got to get rid of everything. I got to raise cash. And when we get these bounces, even though now we're shifting into more of like a range-bound market, these are the times where it's easier to free up positions that you don't really want to be in. Where when you were trapped in something 2 weeks ago and you were down 10 or 5 or whatever the percentage loss was, and now this name has bounced 15%, 20%, 30% off lows, even like a name like Shopify, from 500 to its lows to 800, that's a 30% bounce in 2-3 weeks. These are often those times where
500 to 800, that's 60%.
Yeah, so again,
fuck.
Yeah, but those are those like booms where like at 500, that's when someone's like, oh my god, if it goes to 499, I'm out of this thing. Right. But now it's bounced significantly. Where these are more of those times where the boat's not sinking, everyone's not freaking out, and you can quietly like kind of put your like safety raft in the water and kind of start paddling away from the ship if that's your overall feeling. But I think being more cautious up here, again, realistically, like the retest to 480 is probably in the cards, but from 460 to 480, we're talking a few percent. It's not going to be anything dramatic.
Right.
Where it's more raising stops. This is a doji at highs after a 2-week run up. Like you said, it's like this is defense time, raising stops and not trying to just press it because Apple's up 14 days in a row doesn't mean it's going to continue that. It for Apple, it'll probably retest maybe that 183 area, and then whatever happens after that happens. But I think we did a really good job. I know you focused pretty heavily, I don't know if intentionally or unintentionally, focusing on REIT names in the last shakedown, which a lot of those names have been breaking out amazingly. We've been talking about how the utilities.
I'd like to cut you off and say nothing is an accident, Bennett. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, well, I just don't. I'm like talking for you because it's like me looking through your name. So it's like I know you had a pretty heavy focus on REITs. On my end, it was looking at the utility names, and those have just been strategies that have been working for us. And now we just want to trade those positions out correctly.
Right.
So yeah, that's my little piece.
All right, so going to good trade, bad trade.
Top ideas.
Oh, top ideas. Yeah. So I mean, there's not a ton left, but there are a few names I'm still watching set up. My favorite is this CYTK. Just really really nice wedge, really nice consolidation. It's still giving you a very calculated entry, very tight risk. Most of these names that we're going to type up are so extended, you can't buy them with a decent stop that's a real support stop. So when I see this consolidation like CYTK has, that one I still definitely really like a lot. 38.25-ish area. Trade of the week here is this Sedge, Solar Edge, solar stock. But if I trade this one, and I know Heaven's doing well with it, I saw Lincoln was doing well with it. They were buying the dip this morning in it. For me, if I attack this trade, I'm gonna have to trade it as a pure breakout because you look where support is. It's $30 away to today's tail, things like that. So it looks good through this 340, but it might not be the best entry for me since I'm not in it right now. It's not very tight, so we'll see how that one transpires. But definitely still on the list. This KSS, we want to see this one tighten up, but if you look at that level it's got ahead at 64, it's a really really nice macro chart. And if we look at what the day was that it exploded. Oh, that wasn't earnings. That was a dividend. I'm not sure what the news was. I thought that was an earnings move. But regardless, very strong move into this resistance. Now we get a tight daily flag in front of that area. Hopefully we can get an entry with a pretty tight stop for that macro break. That one's looking good. Everything retail. That's Kohl's. Everything retail is looking pretty good. MRCY, another tight consolidation. We had this huge run up. And now what we want to see is a tight consolidation. Now that's what we're getting. So it can give us a tight entry. So watching this 67 area for potential entry. This one, it's pretty thin as well. So I'm not over the moon about it, but it's definitely there. JAMF, this is a nice little base here. What is this area? This 36.25 would be the trigger on this one. Another one that's coming out of a tight consolidation. That one looks great. And then the stock I'm going to talk about every single day until it lets me in is this DEER, DE. It's something I'm dying to have in my long-term account, but I think the price has got to be 400. And I think, I think it pulls back and retests this area. But I think if it wants to sustain this breakout, and we've seen these agriculture, these manufacturing, construction stocks really lead in the past, month or so. I think this pivots off this 400 area and starts to depart higher out of the base. And then I think, 6 months from now, it's got 600 on it. And I really truly believe that. So that one I'm going to focus on every day until it gives me an entry. But, everything else we'll go over in good trade, bad trade. Everything else really went already. So I don't feel there's a ton to do at these levels. And at this point, it's like if I'm putting on major long risk after 12 green days in the market, is that the wisest thing to do in the world? So I'm not really sure there. So keeping the watch list pretty small. But what are you looking at?
So I have two. One, first is Cisco. I think this might even be one you were kind of talking about a few weeks ago. Up to this 57 when this wants to break out of this little base it's been forming for the last few months. And then again, this HUBG still setting up inside this, I'm really just waiting for the 87, like 87 breakout, blue sky. We continue to see these higher pivot lows. You can see these little red arrows showing that the buyers continue to step up. So, the low is 72, then 75, then 76, now it's 80, and it's continuously getting tighter and tighter. And I just want to be involved when it wants to finally break out through those all-time highs through that 87 area. So that's kind of the main one I'm keeping an eye on.
I'll be in that one with you.
All right, so next up we got good and bad trade.
Yeah, so let me go over what I've done, and then I'll go over the alerts, and it's just a fucking million stocks. I'm not gonna lie. We got in these semis. What was it? Let me get this chart up. All right, so AMD was breaking this major macro downtrend. I don't have the 50-day moving average up, but like it was in right this area, and we needed to see it break this area with some, vengeance to get long. So we were getting long this day. We saw the market reverse. This is March 24th. I got off some Friday, and I got off some today. It's just I don't want to have too much risk on it. Looks good. Looks like it moves higher, but probably has to continue consolidating first. What else we got? This BRCC, my dog. What happened? What's wrong with this chart? Things are beauty. And I'll tell you what I was seeing in the chart is IPO makes a low at 13, makes a huge move up to 23, and then it gives us this perfect 50% retracement back to the 16 area. Gives us a really nice tight base, and then when it wants to head up again, it gives us a tight entry. And you can see I was kicking on the way up. I still have some stock. Looks good. There's JNPR, Juniper. This you can't see the entry, but it's on the break of this little wedge here, this 34.50. You see I got some out of some Friday. I got out of some today. I'm still holding strong, but definitely not as much as I was. CACI, this one so annoying. It's one of these thin names where it's just they can be impossibly thin to trade. So I had such a tight entry, 303 versus 300. I got an extension yesterday into all-time highs. I was selling 312. I only took 1/6 off, thinking it's making new highs, but really my stop wasn't far enough away for this stock. So I got out of the other five out of 6 today at that original stop at 300. No, at my price 303. I did get out break even, but I didn't really make much on the trade when I was up a good amount. So that one I could have kicked more into new highs, and it's still fine on a weekly chart, but I wasn't giving it that proper room, so I got to be more swift with taking profit there. Where are we going? Oh, this crowd shouts to heaven. I'm not getting in this trade without him. He got us in this day right here, this March 16th, and I really wasn't taking profit. We have the 200-day moving average sitting right here above at 230, so that was kind of my profit target the whole time, and now it's giving us that move, and I took a lot of profit off. This is Friday, and that's today, and that's where I took most of my position off. My price was 191 or something, selling 222, 225. That's a really good trade. Oh, and AVGO, shouts to Val. Val kept me in this one, or got me in it. I wasn't as focused on it, but he kept talking about it. And then this day we saw a market reverse here, and we got a great entry. I got 608 versus 600, and then I'm selling 630. I sold some 645 this morning, and I took off more. Again, looks like it goes higher, but I think the market's going to come down and consolidate. I'm going to lighten the load up on the way up. And then if we want to go to and then this Civi. It's so funny that it pulled back today because I had issues with my broker. So the green, you can't see it on my chart, Bennett, but the green shows where I'm long from. But we can see the dots. The dots are between 59 and 60. They have my price on my broker, 64.81. The all-time high is 64.79. I have prices that didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Didn't even happen in real life. I'm the worst trader of all time. So this thing's pulling back, and it says I'm down like huge in it, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I realized the broker made a mistake with my execution price. So I was on the phone with them as this thing's puking this morning, like, come on, hold up. But I got a nice pivot on the retest, so I'm still in that one. It looks okay. And that one's just, depending on oil prices. If oil wants to get bid up once again, that Civi probably breaks out. If it doesn't, it probably fails. It's trading commodities.
What do?
I'm in commodities.
Good luck with that.
And then I'll go to all the alerts that we had. And just start with this SGRY. By the break of this little consolidation right here, that one's off to a nice start. This UPS from Monday gave it a tough entry. You had to buy it off the open Monday, but we see this little retest to this area, this previous resistance area, successful retest. And if you look, we're still in this. It's still in this macro consolidation. So it wants to bust out higher out of this area. That should have a huge move, and that's one of the type of names like couriers, transportation stocks. Those have been really strong in this market. Sweet Green, SG, this one gave a nice move today. We were waiting on this, how it would approach this base here at 36. Breaks out of the base a little bit, fails, gives us a nice consolidation. Then gave a nice little entry here. This 36 area, that one looks good. Costco, Gave an entry yesterday, just a strong flag, buying through the consolidation right there, looking good. This BJ triggered yesterday and today. This 66, 30-ish area. That one's starting to trigger. That one looks pretty good. Oh, God, there's so many of these names. The ESS, this is a REIT. That was what we were talking about earlier. These REITs look great. I didn't buy them, so, I was talking all that shit before. I don't have any profit in these, so it means nothing to me. But, some people are doing well with it. That's always important. So you see the break at 344.50 there. That was the entry. And today it's moving 4% higher from our entry. That one looks good. POR, utility name. Right here. This 54.50 area. This one's just getting started. If utilities want to remain strong, that one looks good. HCA is a major retest. This is a macro trade. I like this one a lot. I wish I grabbed some of my long-term account yesterday. Maybe I'll get another chance. But you see it has this huge resistance area, and it's retesting it successfully. And, what usually happens with these type of charts is people forget about it. It doesn't break out for 20% right away. So, they're like, oh, it must not be ready to go. When really, it's just turning this area to new support, and this becomes a much better setup for the long term because it's giving you a really tight risk setup. And now if it wants to go, there's nothing really holding it back after it creates this new support. RHP, this is another REIT. This one was through 92.50. This one triggered yesterday. Now it's breaking out to new all-time highs, up almost 5% on the day. So, God, these REITs are crazy, huh? Jeez. And then last but not least is CTSH. There are two entries in this one. A couple weeks back, it's 87.50. And then it kind of retested this area and gave us another entry through those highs of Friday. So that one's looking good. That one's close to new all-time highs. But just those 30 stocks triggered this week. And the last week. So that was this week and last week. Anything else that I missed?
No, I think that's it. But I mean, that's also a good point. I think sometimes when people ask for like alpha alerts, where it's like the past 2 weeks the markets have been crazy. There's going to be a ton of alerts, but when the market's really crappy, there's very few alerts. There's maybe one. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it, where it's like we have a lot of experience trading these types of markets, where we finally see the market bid, and then it's time to go crazy with the long risk. Yeah, there's going to be 40, 50 alerts in a 7-day span. But then when the market's crap, people are like, oh, where are the alerts? Where are the alerts? It's because, longs aren't working as, profitably as what we've seen these past 2 weeks. You're going to make a lot more money missing out on the shit and capitalizing on the good times when we're really pumping higher versus trying to put on different risk every single day. So, I hope people can see that in the alerts at least.
Yeah, definitely agree. All right, so I'll go over a couple of mine. So I was in the CIVI as well. And I talked about it yesterday morning, where it's like, given yesterday's action, it's like I was expecting a shakeout of this 60 area. Mm-hmm. And I bought 60, I bought 59, I bought 60 again. So my cost basis was pretty much at 60. And the real 54, 52 are the real spots where, I was, up, just about 10% in the name, and then to give it back and to now lose money, for me was like, I'm all about preserving the capital. I'll take a break even if I know I'm going to get ticked out. And this is like, ticks me out. I got stopped at like 59.84. So I pretty much basically broke even. And now it's closing. It looks great. Like you mentioned, you're still in it. And it's like, now it's like, even for people like myself, if I got shooken out and I want to get back in, now I got to, buy it in the close and chase $1 higher, which is something I'm not going to do. But it's like, you can probably still catch some move into the 63 or 64 area. But this one, I did well adding back into the name, especially on the way back up after the initial shakeout. I just did a poor job with raising the stop too prematurely to protect the capital, and now that it's still kind of working. But this is one, again, I have no problems with getting back in this one. If it needs to pull back in further, it's not like I'm going to not put this trade back on if it happens again. Mm-hmm. Another one that's working was this DUK. Again, we're talking about utility names, utilities being strong.
Oh, damn, that's sick.
Yeah, so it was funny because on Friday, these both triggered. CIVI triggered and DUK. And of course, CIVI, it's like for me, it's like I like that one way more because it closed up, 8%, 9% on the day. And this one was up like 1%. And you think like CIVI is going to be the big one. And then fast forward now, DUK, I'm at a CIVI break even, and DUK looks fine. And for me, in the short term, it's like I can expect like a move to like 112. That's like the short term kind of move. This like little flag, and then the much bigger pattern, it could probably go 120, 125. But for now, that's like my first target. Where when it gets to 112, if it gets like a little extended, I could think to take some profits, but that'll be if it gets up there when I start to try, start raising the stop versus, right now it's just a break even stop. A few other trades I got triggered in today. A lot of them were actually from other members calling them out on the Monday morning pre-market call. We've actually had some really good ideas being discussed. Kusha mentioned the CSL through this 250. So I got triggered in, I guess it was, this morning off the open. So I bought up through the gap up, which is fine. For now, just stop versus 242. And that, again, I'll slowly kind of move if it continues to drift higher. Another one was this EMR. I think Kevin might have called this one out. And how it was trading today, it was pretty like crappy. I got pretty much triggered in. It shakes everybody out, looks horrible. And I just placed the stop under the 200-day, which was under 96. And for now, it kind of reversed pretty much most of that shakeout. And now it looks okay. It doesn't look amazing, but at least now I know my risk is versus 96, and I can kind of trade that accordingly. I got into that HCA. I know you mentioned that one before, and we talked about that same thing on the Monday morning corner. Well, where when the name initially breaks out, we expect that bigger move, like you said, but then we forget about it and move on. Then you can kind of sneak in later when most of those traders who are focusing on it have moved on to something else, and then you can kind of catch that little drift as it inches higher. So I got into that HCA today through 265 versus 255 for now, and those are just my most recent trades.
Nice.
It's funny though, I was looking at I rebalanced. I took profits in Apple like a few weeks ago before the Fed meeting, where I was up like 30% in the name, and for the next 4 days it seemed like the best. It seemed great to have rebalanced here and take 30% gain and avoid the drop, and then now it's like then you just feel stupid because it's 20 points higher and
that thing is so crazy.
Yeah, but that's you live and you learn. So that's that. I guess we got just book of the week, and then I think we.
Yeah. I just got this one in. I've been waiting on it a while. It's one of those expensive books, so it's good. It's called Insider Buy Super Stocks. This guy Jesse Stein, he turned 46K into 6.8 million in 28 months, and he has very specific ways of doing anything. I literally got this one, an hour ago. I haven't been able to dig into it. Can't wait to dive into it. But it's very specific. It goes into very, very specific things on what he looks for his, super stocks. So that I'm excited to start that one. So it was like $50.
Damn. Yeah,
I know. I was like not ready to buy it. I was looking on eBay and it's like, nothing. Damn, this shit must be good. And if it's not good, I have a beef with Jesse Stein forever.
Mine is the same book as last week. Is the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I just finished it. I have a bunch of pages full. There's a lot of I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of good quotes in there. But on a funny side note, we do have the monthly book club, and our member Kyle, a month ago, we sent him out one of our physical, like our books, and somehow when Amazon printed it, they like included like 20 pages that was like the California DMV like handbook on how to take the test, and he's like, "Is this?" Yeah, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And he's like, "Show me the pictures." I'm like, "Dude, I can guarantee you, I did not insert 20 pages of the California DMV handbook into our book. Like that was definitely just like a mistake." But then fast forward to this week, we sent out the new book for the book of the month, which is this book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And he got this like romance novel, and he sends me this picture, and it's because he ordered the hoodie, so he got the hoodie and the prenup shirt, and then there's this book, and it's like. I'll have Garrett show the screenshot. It's like this girl in a red dress. It looks like a romance novel. And he's like, "Thanks for the gifts." And I'm like, "What is that book? Like, why did I not send you that?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, it came from you guys." So it seems like whoever we bought the book from Amazon, they messed up shipping and they shipped him this like romance novel.
God, it's so funny.
So I'm like, "Do not read that. We did not send you that. Like, we'll send you obviously another one." But just a little funny side story.
No, it's so good. That's so good. All right.
I wrapped it up.
That's it. All right. We'll see you guys next week.